Hello, TikTok. Jim Malone here, coming to you on both YouTube and Periscope. Periscope is new, and also on TikTok. Just wanted to tell you that today has already been a really, really difficult day. I started out in short positions. Um, I made a little bit of money very early on, right at the open on Tesla. I went long on Tesla, and I closed my position. Then I also went long on the TQQQ and the QQQ. I lost money on those when I closed them, and now, believe it or not, I am short the SPY. So it's been a very strange day. I think that the market may be reversing. I went short on the spider at when it hit 270, which is an interesting number. Just a very hard market to figure out. Basically, we are moving up. Today, I don't believe that this is going to last. I think we're going to retest the lows, but I certainly don't have a crystal ball. And I am, as I say, earlier this morning I was long, and now I am short. So go figure. I think that depending on what the situation is with the coronavirus, I think that we're going to get some clarity on that towards the end of the week. I think Thursday is going to be a very, very important day in terms of that, because the coronavirus numbers are going to be going to be up for that. And I think that we're going to find that it's a very interesting market, because again, I was long this morning. I made a little bit of money on Tesla. I lost money on the TQQQ and the QQQ, both long positions. And now I am short the SPY. So go figure. It's been an interesting day. Normally I'm not a day trader, but well, whatever. Do you think the Fed is, I have a question here. Yesterday and today, do you think the Fed is doing some big buying? Actually, I do. That's why I'm having a lot of trouble figuring out where the market is running. I typically look at the overnights, the futures, to get a market direction. The futures last night were showing a upward trend. That is why I went long this morning. I do not think that is going to hold, mainly because I believe that when the SPY is in the zone from 270 to 275, I think it's going to reverse course. Now, I may be in too early. I came in just with 100 shares. Typically, that's a fairly good sized position, but I am short. I am short those shares. I shorted at 270 on the SPY. It has moved up from there, so I am currently in a loss position. So I just can't get an idea on what the direction is. I've been closing my positions very, very quickly, only allowing a tolerance of maybe a percent or percent and a half on my positions. That's because I just can't really get a total handle on direction. It's been extremely volatile, but again, I made a few $100 on Tesla this morning by going long, basically for extremely short period of time. I was only long for about 40 minutes, but I was able to trade it up. It also reversed, believe it or not. What I do typically when I'm in a situation like that where I'm trading long is I'll enter the position, and then I'll move my stop loss up. If the stock is trending up, I will move that stop loss up, and then when it reverses, it'll sell me out. So that stood me in good stead a long time. So it's a good trading technique that you might want to emulate if you're trading a volatile stock. If you have the direction right, you enter the trade put the stop loss in, and then continue to move it up. And then if it reverses on you, you're going to take that profit. It's not optimal, but in this market, it's very strange. So I shorted the SPY too. Okay, yeah, this is really a roller coaster, Bobby. Appreciate your comment there. I'm short the SPY. I just don't know. I have my stop in right now at 274. That will be my cover. I'm just keeping it really tight. That's really the top of the trading range that I see today on the SPY. I believe it's going to go lower by the close, hopefully. And I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but if the momentum continues to the downside, I'm probably going to increase my position if I maintain a good trading, a good trade. The problem is it changes so quickly that sometimes what you think is a good trade, 30 minutes later, it's not so hot, as I found out this morning on my long position on the TQQQ and the QQQ. Now I did great on Tesla. It's funny. I keep coming back to Tesla when I have to make up for a little bit of loss. It seems to always come through for me. But again, it's just day trading is really not normally my style. I'm a swing trader, but in this market, you almost have to day trade it. So it's just a strange thing. Are we looking at the peak here, the next drop? I think we are. I really truly believe that we're sort of at the peak on the market right now. The reason I think that is because everybody is starting to come out with, let's buy stock now. That sense, that's a signal to me that that we may be coming in for a dive. Typically, what will happen is that the big funds will indicate, well, now's the time to get back in the market. Everything's great. Just go back in the market. And when you come back in the market, they're all selling, and you're holding, and you're holding some bags. So hopefully nobody out there is going to be holding some bag. I'm a little afraid of that, of course. And I just wanted to say that it's the kind of thing where it's the kind of thing where it's such a hard it's so hard to it's so hard to really figure out, because we have a situation where it's just very volatile, it's changing direction, and it's just a hard one. It's just a totally hard one to figure out. I definitely have not figured it out in terms of that. So I'm trying to be as proactive as possible, and but where it's coming is that you just have to maintain your shorts. You got to be really, really careful, and it's just one of those things. It's just one of those things. It's it's the kind of thing where it's a very, very volatile market. It's easy. Okay, it's easy to figure out how many are these relays. Yeah, I don't. Okay, let's see. Is there a way we can find if institutions have started buying or selling? Well, that's a really good question. Typically, what you will see for institutional buying or selling is extremely. What you have to do, you have to have what they call level 2 capability on your on your you have to have level 2. You have to have level 2 capability, and right now, and what you'll see is these very large blocks. You'll see like 1,500 times 100. I mean, that's a huge block. 2,000 times 100, not 1 or 2 or 5, not like that. That's when you know that the institutions are buying. Now, typically, those orders will sit down, and they'll sit on various exchanges. The Cincinnati exchange, for some reason, seems to be one of them where they really plant these huge, huge orders. Now, what am I saying, Cincinnati exchange? Well, not everything is traded through the New York Stock Exchange or even the NASDAQ. There are other exchanges too, like the Boston Stock Exchange, the Cincinnati Exchange, other ones, and they are indicated on level 2. They have a indication. It'll say, like, for instance, BSE, and then it'll give a number, price and size, and that's where these orders are being placed. So for some reason, I don't know why, but they tend to put a lot of these big orders on the Cincinnati exchange. So that's one place to look for them if you can see the institution buy. And usually they buy in they don't buy in they buy in round lots. They'll buy like 1,500, 2,000, that kind of thing. So you can see these big chunks. Also, it seems like people have been moving into. It seems like there's been a lot of movement into what I call the quote unquote safe stocks. Well, how safe are they really? That's the question. I mean, we're seeing Microsoft being we're seeing those kind of stocks being crowded into. Now, here's the problem with that. You're going to see crowding in things like Microsoft, which may end up changing the. It may end up where it becomes a short candidate, believe it or not. So it's just really hard to say. We're up more than 20%, 10 for the bottom. Yeah, exactly. Is the bear market done and the start of a bull market? I don't think so. I know that we're up. I know we're up significantly. There's been a tremendous amount of pump by the Fed, but I don't think so. I think they're going to retest the bottoms, and I'm looking potentially, and I may be too early. A lot of times I'm too early in these things, but I think there's going to be a reversal either to the end of today or tomorrow, but I could be totally wrong. But I think by Thursday, we're going to see whether or not this thing continues up or down. I think we're going to see a reversal personally, and that's what but again, that was the kind of thing that, it's just really hard to gauge, because last week we had a follow through day, which indicates the change in the market direction. So go figure. I mean, here we are in one of the most, one of the quickest down markets, and we've got a follow through day. You figure that out. And yesterday we had a tremendous rally. It was the thing about these kind of rallies is that typically in a market correction, the ups, the snapback rallies can be just tremendous. And so, that's the kind of thing you've got to look at. It's just it's hard to gauge. It's truly hard to gauge. And it becomes very difficult because, the question is, when is the market going to change? And well, it looks as if in some cases the market is changing, basically on a regular basis. I mean, it seems like it's hour by hour. So we're really in a situation where we haven't seen really conviction either way. Buying the SQQQ and no, I am not. I am not buying the SQQQ today because I do not think we're in a confirmed retracement. Well, what do I mean by retracement? Well, what happens is, what a retracement is it's basically it goes up, comes back down to where it was. I don't think we're there yet. I think we may be topping on the market, but but I wouldn't probably be at this moment as we go on air right now at 11:13 on April 7th. I don't know if it's time to be in the SQQQ. I was in the TQQQ this morning. I lost money on it, which I thought I had called the reversal, but I obviously was wrong. Oddly enough, I was able to make money going long on Tesla for about 40 minutes. I made about $600, which is pretty good work. But again, I lost on the TQQ and the QQQ. So go figure. I certainly don't have a crystal ball on that. And just like to say to everyone out there that these volatile markets are tough because you just don't know when there's going to be a reversal like this. And right now, at least for the moment, I am short the market. I'm short 100 shares of the SPY. I shorted, but I have a stop loss on at 274. So if it exceeds that number, currently it's trading at 272.91. I'm only $1 off. I will be sold out of the. I will buy back, and I will buy to close. So go figure. Head and shoulders are being created. Yes, this is. Hey, this is a really good comment. I really like to bring it to everybody's attention. GPS, GSP Baxter. Okay, what is the head and shoulders? The head and shoulders pattern is extremely important. This is something that you want to Google, and you want to look at this, because this will connote the beginning of stocks to be shorted. This is extremely good. This is extremely good for you if you're going to short stocks. Is this head and shoulders pattern? If a head and shoulders pattern forms, what will happen is that the left shoulder of this, and I know this doesn't make a lot of sense because I'm explaining to you, the left shoulder will be a bit higher. There'll be a head, which is the top, and then there will be a lower right shoulder. Now, if it's in that conformation, when the stock crosses the 50-day moving average, typically it will move to the downside rapidly. So this is a potentially good short. Now, obviously, it's not the best place to short it. The best place to short it is after the initial large drop, and when it comes back to try to test the 50-day moving average. And usually I'll try to test 3 to 4 times. On the fourth time of test above the 50-day moving average, when it moves below that, typically it will collapse. So this could be a very, very, very good for making money shorting stock. And again, what we're talking about here, shorting stocks, is borrowing your stocks, then selling them, and then waiting to cover your long position, and the difference, of course, is the potential profit. Now, you cannot short stocks if you're in an IRA or other account, and you do have to have level 3 authorization from your broker. Now, I use TD Ameritrade. There's a lot of great brokers out there. I particularly like TD Ameritrade because they have lots of stuff that you can borrow, and it's very easy to short stocks with them. But you need to have level 3 capability on your account. Now, if you don't have that, or you don't have the requisite amount to put into the account, you can short indexes by using the inverse ETFs. There's been a lot of talk, of course, about the SQQQ, which shorts the NASDAQ 100, or what they call the QQQ, and that typically on a leveraged basis. So it typically moves 3 times. It's a 3 times inverse to that. So that can be also a way to short the market. Now, I wouldn't be in this until we have a confirmed reversal. And as I said, I thought that there was going to be. I thought we were going to go a little bit more on the longs today. I thought we were going to go more long, but it reversed on me, and now it looks like it's reversing again. So, it's just all over the place, and, I haven't been able to figure out the direction as well as I'd like to. And I'm probably going to get stopped out of my short on the SQQQ. Again, I am going to be probably buying the cover at 274. I went short at 270, so I have a potential loss, unfortunately, if that indeed happens. It looks as if the market is trading higher and looking for direction, so I will probably be stopped out of this. It's looking very, much like it. I've got 20 cents to go. I'll probably be out of here in just a minute. Everybody else sold everything. Very good. What happens if I get designated as a day trader and have more than 25 in the account? Good question. Here's the thing. Right now, it's not going to matter. Yes, you might get a slap on the wrist that you're a quote unquote day trader, but this is such a volatile market that they've taken away a lot of that. I mean, I day traded Tesla this morning. It's just crazy. I don't think it's going to matter. They're going to give you a warning, but I don't think they're going to reduce. They're not. They're not going to deny any of your orders. I don't think so. That's just that's just the way it is. And the role of the market is people become day traders because they have to close their positions, and that's definitely been the case with me. I'm currently down, and in this market, and we'll see if it holds. And essentially, I'm becoming a day trader because of that. Just popped in. Did you stop shorting the SPY? Well, I have a short on the SPY right now, but it looks like I'm going to be brought out of it. My limit currently, the spider is selling for 273.61, and I have a buy to cover order at 274. It looks as if I am probably going to be stopped out of the position momentarily, but we will see if that level holds or not. Again, this morning I did make some money in Tesla, basically buying it at the 545 level, selling at 262 in about 40 minutes, if you can believe that. But that was a long. So currently, well, you gotta be real. I mean, hey, sometimes it doesn't go the way you want it to. I wish it always did. What happens is when I see the market going against me, I will typically move my stop loss down, and I will take the loss, but I will try to minimize the loss, and that's the key for everybody here. Try to minimize your losses on the downside and let your winners run. And sometimes you get it wrong, and I certainly do. So there you go. Gosh, XOM, EPS all up. Yeah, I know it's a very strange market. Exxon is the trading in Exxon has been tremendous. They may come to a deal. Let me just quickly look at how Exxon Mobil is trading right now. XOM, it's trading a little bit down from the open, but it's still very good. Currently, I have it at 42.72. ExxonMobil. That's currently where I have it, and it looks like it is adjusting downward. Boy, it's really hard to tell the direction on this market. It seems as if, just my opinion here, it seems as if we may be topping out for, well, no, it's continuing to go up. So what do I know? Definitely interesting. People are going in to ExxonMobil. Looks like I may be all cash here pretty quick. Well, no, actually it's going the right way for me. Well, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Here's what I do typically. I don't try to call tops or bottoms. What I do is if I try to get the direction right, and then I try to move up or down my stop losses, either to sell or buy to cover if I'm going short. And that's how I basically try to maximize my gain. So there you go. Okay, let's see. Questions. I just sold ExxonMobil. Wow. Oh, I don't think you'll regret that. No, I think that's good, by the way. I think that's good. I think you made a really good move. I can't see, with the demand the way it is, when earnings start to come out, how these stocks won't go lower. And I think that you might have made a very good move there. That's the move I would have made, selling ExxonMobil and CVX, especially if you have a profit. Now, I get it wrong all the time. I mean, I bought, I shorted Boeing when it was at 99, and then basically covered at 89, if you can believe that. But now it's gone up, so I wish I had been long. So it's just a very strange market. Very hard to figure it out. Thoughts on trailing stops? I am not a fan of trailing stops, and the reason I'm not a fan of trailing stops is in a very, very volatile market, you want to necessarily you want to stop out your next. You want to be stopped out as quickly as possible if the market is moving against you, because it could just get crazy. So that's why I am a fan of the market stop. Whereas if the activation price is hit, it takes the next it takes the next price, so that you limit your losses the most. Now, the problem with this, of course, is that you typically will get more stopped out than with the trailing. Now, the thing about the trailing stop is that for a long-term trader, it might protect you, but in this market, I think the best thing is to just set your stops several times a day and move them up or down depending on where you're trading. And then if you get a spike of volatility, it's gonna stop you out. It's just the market has been just too volatile. We've been through one of the most volatile periods in recent memory. So it's very important that if the market is moving against you, that you immediately cut your losses, because they can really run big. So that's just my take on it. The speed of the rebound reflects the speed of the plunge, calling into question the gain. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I don't think this is a real rally. I think this is a relief rally. I think there's a lot of short covering going on right now. That's what I thought this morning. I thought, wow, we're going to have a situation where a lot of the shorts are going to be caught. There's going to be some short covering. And I went long, and it worked for Tesla, but it didn't work for two of my other positions very well. So it's just hard to say. I think once the short covering ends, I think we're going down again. I mean, I'm not negative Nelly here, but I can't see it any other way. I think that we're probably going to go down a bit more. Because I do really believe that we do have to retest the lows. So there you go. I agree with you. I just don't think this is going to stay up. Now, would I like it to go up? Absolutely. Because I am an optimist. I am not a pessimist. Shorting is a very tough game for me, because I normally like to be in the optimistic position. But I just don't see how we can be in the optimistic position based on what's going to happen, I believe, with the earnings and the coronavirus. Now, hopefully we'll get this coronavirus thing settled. I mean, I just hope so. I think it's going to be, it's going to be a problem. I mean, the fact that we've shut down the economy it's just got dire consequences. I mean, towards the end of this month, we're looking at, people under the age of 30, we're looking at, 30% unemployment. Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot. No income. What are they going to do? How are they going to handle it? A lot of people work in restaurants. A lot of people work in, and other things. They're not all going to be able to get jobs. And even though there's going to be stimulus and all that stuff, I think it's just going to be hard. I just don't think a lot of people are going to spend if they have it. If they have it, they're going to save it, and if they're not going to spend it. So I just see a huge drop. Is Microsoft have a good chance to buy now? I'm really of two minds. On my Periscope, I don't know if you can see that, probably because you're tuned in, not to Periscope, but I have a list of the basically the best long-term stocks here, and Microsoft always is on the list. I love Microsoft. I've been trading it really actively for about 3 years. I started trading it. This is what actually caused me to be a full-time trader. I was working at my job, and I started trading Microsoft at 68, and I rode it right on up. So it helped me a lot. But I do think it's getting a bit overvalued. It's a tremendous company, but I just don't think it can support the entire NASDAQ 100. And I think we've got everybody piling into it. I do think it's going to get overvalued, and it may come down, but it's pretty stable. It has very good cash flows. Where is the list? If you go to, you can go and see me on Periscope. That's pscp.tv/Dallas Trading Floor is all one word. So if you're on Periscope, you can see it there. pscp.tv/ Dallas Trading Floor, all one word, and then /follow. I believe that will give you a page. And I'm also on YouTube as well. Unfortunately, I cannot project this onto TikTok, which I actually like the best of them all. But that gives you an idea. MSCI is on there. Netflix is on there. Adobe, Viva Systems, a stock that I'm very familiar with. I've traded it very successfully. There's other ones on there. Microsoft, of course, is on there. Nvidia. They're all up basically today. You've got Microsoft up. It's up $1, but it's still really strong. 167 is the price level on it, so it's doing very well. BMY, Bristol Myers Squibb. Now these are more long term. This is something that if you're starting to come back in the market, I really recommend that you look at this. I'm going to see if I can somehow put this on the website. I'm still working on that, so it's not as perfect as I'd like it to be. DallasTradingFloor.com, but this will give you kind of the long-term leaders. I'm not recommending this list. This is a list that the IBD puts together, but I think it's extremely accurate of the ones where you're going to see the investment going forward. So it's a good thing to look at. It's not really for trading. It's more for longer term or medium term investing. I think that's where you want to be if you don't have the time to really trade your account. Let's see. Okay. Take a photo and post it to TikTok. Okay, I'll try to do that. Okay, I'll try to do that for you after this, and I'll try to give you the long-term leader list and get that up there. To see, so you can all see it up there. But if you have access to YouTube, just type in Dallas Trading Floor, and it's going to be the most current of the shows. This is show number 21, I believe it is. Yeah, it's show number 21, and that's on YouTube. So you can definitely see it on YouTube. And also, on my profile, it has a link to the Periscope show that I just started doing today. So this is the first day that I've actually done Periscope, and it does have that list on there. So that's kind of a nice thing, to see. Let's see. What's the difference between the SQQQ and the SOXS? Okay, the SQQQ is the leveraged bear ETF that takes a inverse position on the NASDAQ 100, which is represented by the QQQ. The SOXS is a bear fund that deals with something called the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index. This is an index of the leading semiconductor companies such as Intel, Nvidia, some of the other equipment makers like KLA, and it takes a contrary inverse position on that. So that's what the XOXS is. The reason why that's an important one is because typically semiconductors are used in just about anything, and they sort of lead. When you're starting to see a turn in the market, you will see it from first in the semiconductor industry, because that's the feedstock for everything else, like cars, and semiconductors are in everything. So it's the sort of the most industrial product that is going to tell you if we're moving directly out of a recession. Right now, I think that longer term we should be okay. Longer term we should be okay because there's going to be a tremendous uptake in a lot of products related to the cloud, and so companies like Micron Technology will do well. But this is the index that goes against it. I like a more broad index to short. And that's why I prefer, at least right now, the SQQQ if you want to short the market, if you want to short the NASDAQ 100. Now, it's not the whole market. I just want to be very clear on that. It is the 100 largest shares on the NASDAQ. And this includes Intel, this includes Microsoft, this includes Apple, and stocks like that. So there you go. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Trying to answer the best I can here.
Any recommendations on trading account under PFT rule? What is it? Any recommendations for trading account under the what is PDT? I don't know what that is. PDT rule. I'm not sure.
Well, here's the thing: if you can't short stocks directly and you can't buy and sell options, that's typically level 1, level 2, level 3 authorization. You can always trade the inverse ETFs because that is considered like a regular stock. ETFs are basically traded like a regular stock. So that's sort of my recommendation if you're restricted in your account and you can't trade it actively. So that's a way to go there. Let's see. What about shorting restaurants, Wendy's, Dunkin's? Here's the thing. I think that would have been a really good. I like that strategy. I like the strategy of shorting the market. I'll be honest with you. But the thing is, I believe that a lot of that has been built in. Now, that said, I think we're going to have a real shakeout. This is for about 30 days from now. And what I'm trying to do is build a watch list of companies that I think are going to be weak and are going to stay weak. All right. And that's a very interesting, that's a very interesting thing to look at. Wendy's is not in that list. Wendy's is a strong company. The companies that I think may have problems, though, are companies that I think will really have a problem because of social distancing. I know this sounds crazy, but I think that we may have weaknesses in companies like Starbucks. Because their whole business model is based on people gathering. And I just don't, in this kind of environment, they can sell some coffee through the window, but their real model is people go, they sit down, they're on their laptops, on their devices, and they're drinking coffee and that kind of thing. And I just don't think that model is going to work that well. And so I think that might be a potential short. But again, I'm making a watch list of individual stocks to short at this point. Let's see, buddy of mine thinks a SPY won't retest until mid-May. That could be true. That could absolutely be true. We've had a lot of intervention in this market, but I'm almost positive it will retest sometime. Now, whether that be mid-May or August, hey, that's up to anybody's. That's up to anybody's. That's really a guess. I think it's going to be earlier rather than later. And the reason I think it is because we have not seen the earnings yet. The earnings season start, and when that happens, you're going to see a lot of companies basically get rid of dividends if they have them. Their guidances are going to be terrible. And but the main thing and the main problem is 70% of our economy in this country is due to people going into stores and buying. 70% is a consumer economy. Well, we don't have a lot of our consumer economy right now. People are staying home. They have to. A lot of people are unemployed. I just don't see that being. I just think that that's going to reflect in what the what the individual issues are going to say. And I think that I do not think that we have baked in all the pain. I think we've stopped the bleeding, but I don't think that all the pain has been baked in. So I do think it's going to come sooner rather than later. Why is the market going up? Well, part of the reason I believe the stock market is going up is because when we get into these very wicked downtrends, we have these massive rallies, and these are called relief rallies. And the reason that they happen is because people take a short position. I take short positions as well, but they don't cover them. And then when it moves against them too greatly, what will happen is that there'll be a gusher of demand for covering their short positions. This is what causes the rallies, and this is why they snap back so violently. And that's why that we had a tremendous update yesterday, was because it wasn't so much people coming into the market buying new, it was people covering their short positions, and that's what caused it to move up. So that's the way I think of it.
Because of the government, artificial inputting on it. Yes, absolutely. That is absolutely true. Here's the thing. We have the government now basically buying assets. They're going to guarantee the mortgage market. They're going to guarantee the bond market. This is intervention by the government. This is intervention. This is new money that's coming into the market. This is displacing the money that's come out of the market, but it's being pushed in, it's being pushed in like, with industrial strength. And so we're seeing the market move very, very quickly in one direction. But I do believe this is a supporting action, and this is really so that there won't be a collapse in the market. So I do expect that it's going to relieve. There's going to be a relief of this pressure, this relief rally, and I do believe it's going to start moving lower. But the question is when. And again, as I say in the beginning of the day, right before this broadcast, I was long. I was in a long position. I felt it changing right beneath my feet. I closed up my position in Tesla. I was long the QQQ. I was long the TSQQQ. That's the long. That's the bull ETF for the QQQ. And I saw the position moving actually very, very rapidly. I shut it down and then I went short. So I do believe that we're moving to a short position. But the question is, will there be another rally? I think that going towards the end of the week, I think that the rally will weaken, and then we'll retrace. Now, will we retrace back down to the level that we had before? Who knows? I mean, it's just hard to say. Okay. Will the government buy ETFs? You know what? That's a really, really, really good question. The government has not supported ETFs up until now. I think that the government might. And the reason the government might support ETFs is because a large amount of the retirement accounts in this country are invested not directly into the market, but into these ETFs like the SPDR. That's the reason I seem to be so fixated on the SPDRs, because it's the largest ETF in the world. It represents $220 billion worth of investment. And a lot of that investment is made by basically baby boomers who are going to be retiring or have already retired and are going to be taking money out of those accounts. So they want to stabilize those accounts, because if the SPDRs and the other very large ETFs collapse, the retirement earnings basically of the baby boomers is done, and they're going to have to go in and support them, which would be terrible. So I think what they're doing is they're taking a proactive approach and putting some price floors in on some of the bigger ETFs and supporting the market. I do not necessarily think it's a good idea, but then again, I'm not in the Fed, so I can't really say. Okay, bought by the Saudis. What's your take on it? Wow, good question. Here's the problem the Saudis have, and I think everybody has to realize this. For 50 years, Saudi Arabia has depended on high oil prices in the West to support basically its welfare state. It sells nothing else. It just sells oil. The market has been going down for them. First with the Permian basin area of Texas, and also the Bakken and all the other things that are happening in the United States, took the United States out of the equation. We really don't buy from the Saudis anymore. That took a big chunk of the demand out of the market. Also, in the meantime, you have Russia, who is basically starved for capital, because it doesn't. Again, things it's selling are down too. Russia primarily sells weapons. There are not as many big wars going on right now. They're losing money. I know that's a terrible way to think about it. So they have to depend on their oil prices. The oil prices are down. It was $100 a little over 3 years ago. It's now trading at $20. Do the math. The Saudis have to have a deal. If they don't, they're going to see a revolution potentially in Saudi Arabia, and the House of Saud may fall. Seriously. So they have to prop up the price. They're going to have to cut production and make a deal with the Russians, and potentially with the Texas Railroad Commission, which controls the price of oil in Texas, which is the largest producing state in the union. So I think it's very interesting. I think they're going to have a deal, and I think it's going to come out of the hide of the of the Saudis. Okay. Okay. By 3 p.m., then another end of the day sell off. Yeah. I mean, I think you might be right on the SPY. I do see there's a potential of it going that high. It's currently trading for 272. My stop is in at 274, which may be too low, but I think that's really shrewd that you're saying that. I agree. I think that's a major pivot point. 275 on the SPY is a major pivot point, and I think it may go lower. 8% stake in Cover Cruise Lines by Saudis should no. Don't invest in CCL right now. I know that it's really tempting because you're looking at that, you're going, wow, if times were better, boy, this would be great because they, cruise vacations are great. I mean, what can you say? It's an excellent vacation, and a lot of people want to take cruises, but I just see it as a minefield. I know the Saudis have gone in there; they're trying to do some bottom fishing. I think there's other things that work with the Saudis. The Saudis sometimes take positions in companies when they're very low because they don't really have shareholders. I mean, it's basically the royal family. They have their time frame is longer. I think eventually Carnival Cruise Lines probably will come back, and it's a great company. It's very well run. But if there's no demand, it's extremely hard to make money in that, at least in the short term. And I think that as Maynard Keynes once said, in the long term, we're all dead. So I think short term, I don't see it being a winner short term. So I would stay away, at least for right now. Are bear ETFs a buy right now? Bear ETFs are going to be a buy if the market moves lower. And that's why I've been kind of fixated on the price of the Spider at basically at 275, because I do believe that is a resistance for the Spider. If you start to see the Spider going lower, and it's moving a tad lower right now. It's 273. It's just $2 off that. I think that there is a chance that it will move lower on the day, but it's still not time for bear ETFs right now. Just stay in cash. The market, it just hasn't really shown direction that well. It just hasn't really shown good direction. So I can't say. I'm definitely not trading it that way. Believe me, if it was a clear direction, I'd be in it. that's for sure. But I just don't see it at this moment. I'm balls deep in the bear market. Yeah, Bobby, I think you're right. I do think we're going to have another. I think we're going to go down again. If we do, then the bears will make some money. Now, the problem with being a bear is that when you're short on a market, you have these snapback rallies that are just wicked because of the short covering. And the thing is, you can be right. Like this morning, I thought I was right, but I really wasn't right now. So I wasn't right at the moment. That's the whole thing with being going short, is that you really have to watch it more than being long, because it's just it snaps back much quicker than it does to the long side. So it's a little bit tougher to play. But I do think that shorts are going to be rewarded eventually. My opinion is that they will be, because I do see a change, and I do see it. I do see it coming, and I do see it coming to retest the lows that we had. So, that's just something that you've got to you've got to rig into this. If you're going short, set your stop losses much tighter, less than 7%, maybe 5% is a good number. The reason is because the reversals tend to be much quicker than when you're going long. How long? I would have thought that the Fed would have stopped printing by now,
but the Fed it's going long. It's printing a ton of money, and it's just the strangest thing. You can't, it's really really hard to it's really hard to they pretty much have unlimited funds. They've come in and they've supported a lot of things that that under normal circumstances they just it just wouldn't have been the way. So it's just a very strange time in the market. How long can the Fed pump? I think the Fed is going to pump, probably at least another month or two. Of course, the big danger is that eventually we're going to have to pay this all back. Of course, Trump wants to create a large infrastructure project, which isn't a bad idea because we're looking at very very low rates, which could mean a good thing, but still I don't know. It's still kind of crazy. Is there an adverse S&P 500 similar to the SQQQ? Yes, there are a number of them that you can use that are similar. Let's see. There is the U. No, that's a bear. That's a bull ETF. Let me see if I can come up with something like there are several that are. I would recommend taking a look at the PSQ rather than the SQQ. It's not leveraged as much. It's a little bit easier to deal with. Now, of course, the gains aren't potentially as large, but I think that's the way you might want to go. Is there any limit for the Fed? No, there really isn't. That's the thing. That's the problem. There used to be a limit because we used to be on the gold standard, but that ended under Richard Nixon in 1969. And back then, there was a partial backing of the U.S. currency with gold. That ended, and basically, since that time, we've gone to essentially a managed system where where basically the basically the number is it's based on the relative strength of the U.S. dollar versus the yen versus all the currencies, and so it floats, and it's and that's how it works. Well, that's a very that allows you to make money in the forex market, but it can be a problem. I do believe, by the way, that if we retest the lows on the market, we might want to start looking potentially at Bitcoin. I mean, I know this is strange. I haven't recommended Bitcoin at all, but I do think it's potentially a safe haven. Bitcoin and gold, but I don't think the time is now yet, because I think that they're going to, at least short term, going to trade lower based on the fact that all this money is coming into the market. Now, once the pumping into the market ends, that money is going to leave, and it's going to try to find value, and we will move from a deflationary economy where we are right now into an inflationary economy. We're not there yet, so I'd be very careful, but I would definitely watch list. I definitely think it's wise to watch list Bitcoin and gold. Now, the thing is, there is, and I don't know the symbol for this, but there is a Bitcoin. VanEck, which is a big firm, is launching a Bitcoin ETF, which might be of interest. I don't have I'll try to get you the information on that maybe tomorrow. I don't think it's been launched yet. I think there is another Bitcoin ETF, but I don't think it's sponsored as well as the one. This VanEck is a very, very good firm. I would like to see, before I would invest in something like that, really strong sponsorship. That's just my opinion on it. But I think that's a way to possibly waitlist that. SPXS.
is now, SPSX is now as low as it was before the original drop. Let me take a look at SPSX really quickly here on my other screen. SPSX, let's look at it. Okay, so I'll get that for you in a second. I should have that. Oh, do you research? Yes. Let me look at Gush again. Gush is such an interesting one. I really like this one. I haven't been in it, but it did have a it did have. I mean, on the chart, the high was 5,500. There was an inverse. There was an inverse split, whereas you had, I think it was 10 to 1 to 10 or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, normally stocks split. If you have one share, you get more. This was the opposite way. So that's the reason. It's up today. Wow. This is really interesting. This might be, let's look at I just want to look at the range here. It looks like it's moving nicely today. This one, wow, there might be something here. It made its low at the beginning of April, 12.28, and it's now trading at 22.20. Wow, that's good. Definitely something that might be of interest. It might be worth looking at. Also, let's see. I'm looking at. Let's see. So Gush. Let me see if I can get you some information on Gush. Again, yeah, this trading 22.27. Let me look at this level 2 action on it. Yeah, it seems to be strong. I mean, this is a oil and gas bull, 2x times. So I don't see how oil could get any. If we do come to an agreement with Russia, I think that we're looking at it'll move even higher. So. Definitely, I wouldn't be in it, right? I would put this. This is a watch list, really, for me, but it's a good one. Will the USA go bankrupt? No, because all the Fed has to do is push a button and we print all this money. Now, the biggest problem that we're going to have, and this is what always happens at the end of deflationary cycles. We know this because if you study the monetary history of Argentina. I know that's a kind of an obscure subject, but typically what happens is when there's all of this printing of money, and that's basically what's going on right now. At the end of it, what happens is they print the money to cure deflation, but when deflation ends, they can have hyperinflation, and so this is how you get rid of government deficits. You print lots of money. And then all the savers basically lose their, basically what happens is people that saved money get screwed, and that's how it works. So if this does turn to an inflationary bubble, which it may or very, very well may be by the end of summer, then Bitcoin will do well, and gold will do well, and other things will do well, like hard property, but savers will do very poorly. Right now, with the discount rate being basically negative, that's essentially what they're doing right now is they're taking value from people that have money savings, and they're basically inflating that away with all the pumping that they're doing into the economy. So it's a lot of it's an amazing amount of pumping going on. Could Gush drop? You better believe it could. Is your trading your main job? Well, in the last few years, it's been. Isn't that odd? I mean, I did the last quote unquote real job I had was a little over a year ago. I was a consultant for a company called Sunoco. It's an oil company. Oddly, we didn't do any oil. It was all about supplying 7-Elevens with gasoline from various refineries and mixing it and all that kind of stuff. That's what I did for them. Not terrifically exciting, but a lot of cash flow. So but yeah, basically, that's it. I've just decided, well, I have a fair number of assets. I'm doing okay. I'm not a rich man, but I'm not poor either.
everything's pretty much paid off, and I enjoy trading, and so that's what I'm doing. That's what I do. And typically, I can do pretty well. I make more money than I did working, so I don't really work. I kind of just trade. So there you go. What do you think of Zoom? Aha, Zoom. Here's the problem with Zoom. Microsoft. Zoom is a great product. It really is. But Microsoft has things called Microsoft Teams, and Microsoft Teams is probably going to win in the space. It's not that Zoom is not going to be around. Zoom is eventually going to be acquired by somebody else. Who that is, I don't know. Probably, somebody like Google. Who knows who's going to acquire them? But they're going to be acquired by somebody. I don't think that the stock can stay up there at in the 150 range. It's just more than that I think is possible at this point. But that's my opinion. I think Zoom is a very good product. I have no problem with the product. I just don't think it's going to long term. It's a good deal. Treasury is asking for another 200 billion. Yeah, it's just the numbers are just staggering that the Treasury is asking for. It's just amazing. Now, here's one of the things they're doing. Here's one of the reasons why they're coming into the market. There is they've come in. You've heard a lot about share buybacks. Well, one of the reasons that there's so many share buybacks is because this is one of the few ways that they've been able to boost the prices of the stock because they've been so high. Without these share buybacks, I believe longer term, well, medium term, the market is probably going to trade lower because the multiples are going to trade lower. That said, I mean, we're not there yet. The Fed is coming in with just huge support for the economy right now. And so, the question is, when will that break? We don't know. We really just don't know. Teams is, I think it is. I think Teams is better. It has better security. It's more expensive. When do you think they'll be acquired? Who knows? But I think it's going to happen soon. I remember I was at a meeting with people from Tableau, a product that I absolutely love. And I was talking with the reps, and they're great people. They'd flown in from Seattle here to Dallas because I'm a database guy. I do a lot of stuff with databases on sort of my other kind of advocation. And I was saying, well, I think you guys are going to be acquired. And they just looked at me like, you're crazy. What are you talking about, man? We've had the greatest quarter they ever said. I said, well, that's why. And sure enough, within 30 days, they were acquired by SAP. I think Zoom is going to be acquired. I don't know if they're big enough to continue on like their own. I think it's probably going to be one of the tech giants that needs growth. Maybe Oracle, who knows? I just don't know, but somebody's going to buy them, and that's just my opinion. Okay. Let's see. Now, that said, I do think that there are technology companies out there that need that piece. There is an IPO that's coming out that I'm very interested in. If this market settles down, I don't know if it's going to settle down or not. And that is a company called Snowflake. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but I think that they are terrific. Their product is being deployed on all the cloud infrastructure. Basically, it's deployed on Azure. It's deployed on Google, on AWS by Amazon. It's a tremendous product. It's a pre-built data warehouse, and I think it's going to be a tremendous IPO. But again, that's for later. It hasn't IPO'd yet. I do think it's going to be very strong. Okay, Carnival or Royal Caribbean stocks for the long term? Neither. I just don't think that I think the travel space is just really fraught with problems right now, and I just don't think long term. I don't know. Maybe Carnival. Maybe Carnival is better than Royal Caribbean. I just can't recommend them long term. I just don't. I think cruising is going to be around, but I just don't know how much. Term, I think that I think you're better off if you're going to be in the transportation space. I think you're better off looking at buying Tesla, to be honest, because I do think that they're going to be awesome. Saudi fund took an 8% stake in Carnival Cruise Lines. Yes, but I'm not so sure. They also took a position in Citibank and they lost their butts. The Saudis don't have a real. and they're okay in terms of buying. I know that that's a big deal. They probably got some kind of agreement. Who knows? I'm not terribly impressed with the Saudis in terms of their long-term investment strategy, because basically they're still in oil after 50 years, and that's just my opinion, anyways. What do you think of NIO long term? I don't know if it'll be around long term, to be honest. NEO. The thing about NEO is it has good backing from the Chinese government. That's one thing that it does have. It's trading down today, 279. It's just a really tough one. I do think there's going to be demand for electric cars. I do think they're on the right side of things. I think a better one than NEO is BYD, Build Your Dreams. That's what it's called. It's a Chinese company that builds electric cars. I don't know if there's an ADR on it. I think electric cars are definitely here. They're going to be big. They're going to be bigger than they are now. That's just a fact. And currently, my personal favorite, of course, is Tesla. It is the best stock, and it's also the most expensive. But the thing about the stock market is leaders tend to be the most expensive ones, because they do generally have the quality. So there you go. I would rather buy fewer shares of Tesla than more shares of NEO. That's just my personal opinion. Do you think Moderna will come up with a vaccine? I think that Bill Gates invested long term. Moderna is looking really good. I actually think there's several companies that are going to do really well in that space. Johnson & Johnson is one of them. Moderna, of course. I liked Gilead Sciences a lot, GILD. I don't think that there is much of a force. Regeneron. But again, I just think playing this one is tough, because even if they do come up with it, it would be an excellent thing for humanity. There's no question about it. I just don't know if it will make that much difference in terms of profitability, because everything is going to be bought at cost, a lot of it. So I don't know. That's the jury's still out on that one. I think the safer bet in terms of this is going to be something like a Johnson & Johnson that not only has that, but it also has the balance sheet. Coming forward, you're going to see, and this is going to be really true, you're going to see a lot of companies. This is going to separate the wheat from the chaff. We're going to see a tremendous amount of change here, and the really good companies with the best balance sheets, they're going to survive, and everyone else isn't. Thank you very, very much for everyone tuning in. I so appreciate it. As always, I really enjoy this. I really enjoy your questions, and I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully doing okay tomorrow. We'll see. Everyone, be safe, and during this coronavirus thing, just be really careful, please. It is really serious, believe it or not, and you'll get through it. So appreciate everybody here, and just be safe out there. Bye for now.